Hello everyone, welcome back to ESL Drill. In today's video, let's look at the poem Once Upon a Time, written by Gabriel Okara. Let's look at the poet first. Once Upon a Time was written by Gabriel Okara. Gabriel Okara is an African poet. He was born in 1921 in Nigeria. He was educated at Government College, Umuahia. His parents were not rich. He worked as a bookbinder and later as an information officer at Enugu. He also wrote plays and features for broadcasting and became a poet of outstanding ability. His poems appeared regularly in Black Orpheus. He has also written a novel called Voice. Now, Gabriel Okara belonged to Africa and he was actually from Nigeria. Now, he was educated in a government college in Umuahia. Now, this Umuahia is a place in Nigeria. And we have another place mentioned here, Enugu. This is the capital city of a state in Nigeria. Now, his parents were not rich. He was from a poor family. And he worked as a bookbinder and later as an officer, information officer at this place. And he wrote many dramas and features for broadcasting. I mean, maybe they were aired, they were broadcast maybe on television or maybe on radio as well. They were telecast and they were broadcast. And he became a poet of outstanding ability. So it means here an extraordinary ability. His poems appeared regularly in Black Orpheus. He wrote many poems and then those poems appeared in a journal, a magazine called Black Orpheus. And a novel he wrote was named Voice, was titled Voice. Now let's get into the poem. But before we get into that, let me tell you something. In this poem, the poet Gabriel Okara focuses on cultural change in Africa that was affected by Western culture. He says that people in the past were genuine, honest, and they are hypocritical now. They are dishonest now. So the poet wants to return to the good earlier times or earlier state by being a child again. It's not possible, but he wishes he were a child again to become good like he was earlier. Okay, let's get into the poem now. Look at the first stanza. Let me read it out for you. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. But now they only laugh with their teeth, while their ice-block cold eyes search behind my shadow. If you look at this carefully, you observe that son is addressed here by the poet. So we understand that the poem, at least this stanza or maybe the whole poem, is a conversation in the form of a poem between a father and son. So the father addresses his son, talks to his son. Let's see what he is saying here. Now here, at the very beginning of the first stanza, we have once upon a time. This once upon a time is a phrase used especially in fairy tales. Now fairy tales are not real. So the things that we hear, that we read in fairy tales are not real. I think the poet feels that it's not really possible to get back to the old days, on good old days, where people were really honest and genuine. Look at this here. Once upon a time suggests things now are different from earlier times. Now things now are different, especially in a bad way. It means here things in the past were good according to the poet. He says they used to laugh with their hearts. Here they refers to people in the past. People in the past used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. The poet used hearts and eyes. Look at this here. These words suggest that the people in the past were sincere and they were frank. They had sincerity and frankness. That means they showed wholeheartedness in whatever they did and whatever they said. Wholeheartedness. Okay, look at these lines here. But now they only laugh with their teeth. It means people of the present are not sincere, they are not frank, they most of the times they fake things. I mean, they try to behave artificially. The word teeth suggests that. And look at the last two lines of the stanza. While their ice black cold eyes search behind my shadow. Now let's look at this laugh with their hearts and teeth. Laugh with their teeth. The words laugh with their teeth suggest hypocritical nature of the present people. The present people are hypocritical. Now look at the last two lines here. While their ice black cold eyes search behind my shadow. It means eyes that do not show any emotion, or eyes that do not have any expression at all, that do not show any feeling at all. Let's look at the next line, search behind my shadow. This line, while their ice black cold eyes search behind my shadow. What does that mean? It means interacting with someone's unreal and fake sides so that there is no need of interacting with the real person. That is what is happening in the society now, according to Gabriel Okara, the poet. The people are trying to fake everything. They are trying to be artificial. They do not want to deal with the real side of a person. That's why they look at the shadow, which is easy for them, so that they can avoid the real person and deal with unreal thing, that is shadow. Let's move on to the next one. Stanza 2. There was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Now, we understand that the poet wants to focus on something here. There was a time. He specially mentions it. There was a time. Here the poet uses the word hearts and eyes again because hearts and eyes refer to emotions. That's how we refer to emotions, using the words hearts and eyes. He says there was a time indeed, but that is gone, son. Now let's look at these lines. While their left hands search my empty pockets. What does this mean? This means the poet feels that he has been stripped of real happiness. Let's look at the meaning of strip off. Strip somebody of something means separate or remove something from somebody. Now, the present generation people with their artificial nature stripped genuine happiness, real happiness of Gabriel Okara, the poet. It means he has lost his sincerity and warmth which he had long time ago. Let's look at the next stanza. Stanza 3. Feel at home, come again, they say, and when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice, for then I find doors shut on me. Look at this, feel at home. This at home is actually an idiom which means comfortable and relaxed. Comfortable and relaxed. Now, feel at home means here be relaxed and comfortable. Be relaxed and comfortable. Now, when we go to somebody's house and they say feel at home, it means they are asking us to be comfortable and relaxed, or think that you are in your own house. Now they do that for a formality. Now when we go to when we go to anyone's house now, they say feel at home, and then when we leave they say come again. We actually take that in a literal way, in a real sense, and we think that they are really serious about it. We think that they are really asking us to go there to their house again and again. And that's why we go there again and we feel at home. It means here we feel comfortable and relaxed. Once or twice, it's okay. And when we go there the third time, look at this here, there will be no thrice. No thrice means there will be no third time. They don't welcome us the third time. It means what happens is I find doors shut on my face. It means people don't welcome us if we visit them very often. Then why do they say so? They say so in order to be formal, in order to be polite. But that's not what they mean. Look at this word here, for. Here, for means because. It's not a preposition, it's a conjunction. For, because. Let's move on to the next one. I have a few questions for you. In fact, 2 questions for you. Try to answer them. The first question. There was a time indeed, but that's gone, son. What does the poet want to focus on? A. The poet wants to focus on the present time when people are sincere. B. The poet wants to focus on the past time when people were insincere. C. The poet wants to focus on the good time that's gone. He also thinks the people and the society have changed now. Which one do you think is correct? Yes, let's look at the first one. A. The poet wants to focus on the present time when people are sincere. Now, present time, people, they are not sincere. So this cannot be true. The poet wants to focus on the past time when people were insincere. In the past, people were sincere actually, not insincere. So this is false. The poet wants to focus on the good time that is gone now. Yes, in the past, they had good time. He also thinks the people in the society have changed now. To the bad. So option C is the right one. Let's look at the next question. People say, feel at home, come again, but they shut the doors on face. What does this suggest? Option A. This suggests that the people of the present society are hypocritical. They do not really mean what they say. Option B. This suggests that the people of the present society are kind. Option C. This suggests that the people of the present society are very affectionate. They mean what they say. Now look at C here. This suggests that the people of the present society are very affectionate. This is contradictory because this is not according to what the poet has said until now. They mean what they say. No. So this cannot be the answer. This suggests that the people of the present society are kind, and this is not true either. This suggests, option A, this suggests that the people of the present society are hypocritical, means dishonest. They say one thing and then they behave differently. They do not really mean what they say. This is true. This is what we have discussed. The answer is A. Okay. Now if you want to try similar questions, there is a special quiz that I have made on my website esldrill.com. You can find the link to that quiz in the description section below this video. Visit that and try to take that quiz. Now let's move on to stanza 4. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile. The poet said, I have learned to wear many faces. What does this mean? Wear many faces means behave according to the situation. That is what the poet has learned. He has learned to fake situations. It means he has learned to behave depending on the situations. It means he has learned to change his behavior according to the situation, to suit any situation. Now, what has he learned? What kind of faces is he wearing? like dress is home face, home face. Now when he is at home, he behaves in a way with his own people. That's what we call home face, that is his behavior at home. And office face, when he is in office, he has to change his behavior because there are many people around him, like his boss and colleagues. He has to behave differently with each of them. And he has learned to wear street face. Now when he goes on the street, he meets people, and he has to fake his own behavior because he cannot speak the truth, because people don't like truth. Host face. See, when you have guests in your house, you become host. If you are a man, you are host. If you are a woman, you are hostess. Now when we have guests in our house, we become host, and we have to change our behavior according to the situation, because even if we don't like those people, we have to behave as if we really like those people. Now look at this cocktail face. What is this? Let's look at cocktail party first. It's a formal social occasion, usually in the early evening, when people come together and drink cocktails, or you call them other alcoholic drinks. So cocktail is a mixture of different alcoholic drinks. Now people come and then they drink, and then they listen to what the host or the person who has invited them says. Now in a cocktail party, whether you like it or not, whether you like people or not, you always have to have a smiling face. Yes, no doubt about this. That's what the poet says here, with all their conforming smiles. Let's look at that in the next slide. To conform, this is not confirm, that's different. This is CONFORM. To conform means to behave and think in the same way. Now when people come to the party, a cocktail party or something, they all behave in the same way. They always have the smiley face, but they are not real. We know that. And the poet has learned to have cocktail face when he goes to a cocktail party. Now how do they have the same smiley face in cocktail parties? Like a fixed portrait smile. Let's look at what portrait is. Portrait is a painting, drawing, or photograph of a person, especially of the head and shoulders. You know very well what a portrait is. Now, just like the smile in a portrait, in a picture, does not change, people in cocktail parties do not change their smiling faces. They keep showing their smiley faces, even though that's not real. Let's move on to the next one. Here, with all their conforming smiles means with all the people smiling in the same way. We know that it is artificial. Now let's look at the next one. Stanza 5. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. To say glad to meet you without being glad. And to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. Now the poet has also learned to shake hands without his heart. It means here he has learned to become insincere. He has learned to become, he has learned to behave in an artificial way. See what he has also learned. He has also learned to say goodbye when he actually wanted to say good riddance. What is this good riddance? Good riddance, this is a rude way of saying you are happy because somebody has left. Why are you happy? You are happy because that person who has stayed up to now has troubled you, has irritated you, or has annoyed you with something, with his talk, and you are relieved because that person has left now. And you say good riddance. Now, even when we have to say good riddance, we have learned to say what? Goodbye. The poet has learned to say goodbye when he actually has to say good riddance. And he has learned to say glad to meet you. Glad means happy. Now we say happy to meet you or glad to meet you when we meet someone and then we are really happy because we have met that person. But the poet has learned to say glad to meet you even when he is not glad. And he has also learned to say it's been nice talking to you after actually getting bored. This is what we call the poet. That's why the poet says that he has learned to fake things. The next one. Stanza 6. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be when I was like you. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh. For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Unlearn means to deliberately forget something that you have learned, especially something bad or wrong. Now here, what is it that the poet learned? The poet learned to fake things. The poet learned hypocrisy. The poet learned artificial ways of behaving. And he wants to unlearn all these things now. Unlearn means that he wants to forget all these things. He wants to get rid of all these things. All these what things? Muting things. Let's look at this here. Muting things means things that are changing all the time. Let's also look at this one. Here we came across this word before. Again we have it for. For means because. Now look at this here. The poet has learned to mute or learned to silence his real feelings. Now you can understand it in either way. Muting things means things that are changing all the time. He wants to change his fake behavior and become genuine again like he was before. And look at this. Shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Now let's discuss that in the next slide. His laugh in the mirror shows only his teeth. Now when the poet goes to the mirror and looks at himself in it, he sees only his teeth and there is no real and genuine happiness. There is no warmth in it. It's all fake and it's artificial. And this muting things can also mean this. The poet has learned to silence his real feelings and then use unreal feelings. So let's move on to the next part. Now let's look at the next stanza, the final stanza, stanza 7. So show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. Now here the poet asks his son to show him how to laugh. And he expresses his desire to laugh wholeheartedly again, and he wants to be like a child again so that he can get back his original and natural behavior. So that's all about it in the poem. Now let's focus on the figures of speech used in this poem. A figure of speech is a word or phrase that has a separate meaning from its literal meaning. Figures of speech are also called poetic devices. The most common ones among the figures of speech are simile, metaphor, and personification. Let's understand what each of them is. A simile is a comparison between two unlike things using the words like or as. For example, he is as brave as a lion. Here we have used the words as and as. A metaphor is a direct comparison between two unlike things or ideas without using the words like and as. For example, time is money. Here we have not used any words like as. This is a direct comparison. Now the next one is personification. Personification gives or attributes human qualities to non-living things. For example, the flowers nodded in the breeze. The wind shook the branches of the trees. Now let's look at the figures of speech used in this poem, Once Upon a Time. The poet used this. their eyes block cold eyes. Here, the poetic device or the figure of speech is metaphor. When the poet says this, he means people's eyes are as cold as ice. People's eyes are compared to ice. The other figure of speech is simile. I have learned to wear many faces like dresses. Here, faces are compared to dresses. Next example from the poem is their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. Here, people's smiles are compared to portrait smiles. And the last example is my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Now here, teeth are compared to snake's fangs. That's all about figures of speech. Okay. But before we conclude, let's look at the tone of the poem. Now, tone is actually the poet's attitude to what he expresses in the poem. Now, here, the tone of this poem can be any of these three. You can say philosophical tone, or satirical, ironic tone, or nostalgic tone. Let's look at philosophical tone. Actually, philosophy is the use of reason in understanding such things as the nature of the real world and existence. Now, the poet has understood the real world which is existing now, and he has also realized that it is fake. Now, he is philosophical now because he wants to get back to his real and original nature. So, philosophical tone. And you can also use this satirical or ironic. Now, when we use satire or irony in our speech, in our words, we criticize people or ideas in a funny way, in a humorous way. Now, that is what this man, Gabriel Okara, has said, especially when he said, when we go there to someone's house the third time, they shut the doors on our face. Now, that's a humorous way of saying it. He criticizes their behavior in a humorous way. So, the tone is satirical or ironic. And we can also say the tone is nostalgic. Nostalgic means feeling happy thinking about things that happened in the past. Now, here, how is the poet happy thinking about things that happened in the past? He's happy because things in the past were really good. People in the past were really genuine and they were honest. By thinking about those things that happened in the past, he feels nostalgic. So you can use any of these. Well, that's all about it in this video. If you have liked it, hit the like button. Please share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done. Thank you very much for your support. I'll see you in the next video.